Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So the holiday season is over, and we're settling into a new calendar year. Now what? Welcome to the Hello Hair Pro podcast. My name is Todd, and I'm here with my wife and business partner, Jennifer.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so the holidays are over, and I think we can all stop pretending on Instagram that our year was perfect and amazing and instead start working towards making things better in the real world. Is that too blunt? Is that too strong of an opening?
Okay. It's perfect.
All right, cool.
Well said.
And so here's the deal, too.
And it's true.
Yeah, for sure. And here's the deal, too. Like, I spent a good amount of time in the fitness industry, and the thought of New Year's resolutions and all that stuff just leaves, like, this bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
I can explain, too. So here's the deal, and I'm not knocking resolutions, but here's what happens. At the end of every year, everyone thinks, okay, this is my year. You chuckle because you think that, right? We all do.
And it may be, but...
Right. So, okay, this is my year. I'm going to start X, whatever, for the new year. Great. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but here's reality, right? So New Year's Day rolls around and you start to explore options, right? Maybe so let's use the gym world. Well, let's use fitness. Yeah, let's use fitness as a example. So New Year's Day rolls around, right? You start exploring options. Let's look into gyms. Okay, you check out some websites. Maybe you even drop into a gym. Maybe you, whatever. You're exploring. Now, by this time, you've already begun thinking about like, well, might as well like do my exploration and then start in February. Because this is what happens in the real world. And you can disagree with me, but I was there for a while and I saw it firsthand.
I'll give you my opinion, what I've seen firsthand.
Okay, cool. So then, yeah, that sounds all good. February it is, right? Okay, so now your mentality's fucked. Sorry, but it is. February rolls around, but February 1st falls on a Wednesday. So then you think, well, I have to start on a Monday. And the cycle continues. It'll never be the perfect time. Just fucking start. If I could give people one piece of advice, it would be just to start. Even if you don't know what you're doing and you're 100% going to make a mistake, when you...
Something's better than nothing.
Right. Well, I was going to say, and no pun intended, but objects in motion tend to stay in motion. So when you start doing something, you're likely to continue doing something. But if you don't do something, you're likely to continue not doing something.
Correct. So you want to know what I see?
Go ahead. Hit us up. Yeah.
All right. So I see, and I have seen it firsthand this year already. And it's the gung-ho approach. So I'll use two here.
One. Yeah, go for
it. The gym being one. So I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. I'm going to sign up for Couch to 5K, and I'm going to run 3 times a week. And probably last year, maybe you hit the gym if you were lucky 2 times a week. So before you know it, February 1st comes, and it's a Wednesday. Is it actually a Wednesday?
This year, I believe.
Doesn't matter.
I believe February 1st falls on a Wednesday.
Okay.
I'm going to take a look just for fun.
And you
Wednesday.
have slowly cut back on all of that stuff because you try to do too much too quickly. I've also seen it with people trying to like save money. Like, I'm going to save this much a month because I can. And it's such a high goal that come February 1st, before you know it, they've blown all the money they saved because it was like too high of a goal. So there's also the side of where you start that gung-ho mentality and you fall flat on your face by February because you try to do too much too quickly. Like you wanted to see results right away, where maybe it's like, all right, I'm going to start going back to the gym and maybe this Couch to 5K, and maybe you roll that out slowly. Like you don't have to hit all your goals for a year in 1 month because then they're not goals for the year.
Yeah. So another big thing, and I think we can edit, right? Magic. So if you're not cool with sharing this, but I think you used to fall into this trap until maybe even recently, like within years or like a months, whatever.
Yeah.
It was, what was I going to say? Not gung-ho, but all or nothing.
Yeah.
So I know you like to get in like a strong 30-minute workout. Anything less is not worth your time. That's how you used to think.
Yes.
Now I've seen you with my own 2 eyes get in something. You broke your foot.
Yes.
So
did.
probably people
If you
listening
didn't
don't know.
Yes, I broke my foot in December.
Yes, busted her foot and was not complaining, but to me one day
bad.
was like, I can't work out. I can't do that. And I was like, well, I know I'm still a certified personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can give you stuff to do. We can work around this. I can help you. And you sort of shot me a look and I was like, here's what I want you to do. Grab these dumbbells.
And
I don't care.
I've been doing it.
And you've been doing it and it's been great. I mean,
And I feel better than not doing anything. And I just had to reset my brain.
of course. And that's a great, so go ahead and finish your thought there.
I just had to reset my brain that something's better than nothing. And if I can get in 10 minutes of some weight workouts, upper body, because I can't do anything with my foot right now, that the feeling of doing something really resets me emotionally, physically, all around, and actually got my eating back on point and my water intake. Like it did everything. And I just had to remind myself that, 30 minutes or 45 minutes, it doesn't matter. It's something. And I've been doing it like 4 times a week. So I'm doing it more than I was when I was trying to get on the Peloton. So it's actually been kind of a good change for me.
Yeah. Like I've seen a shift in your, I don't know, you're like, oh, I got in a little workout. Like when you start telling me about it, then I'm like, oh, she's excited, because if she wasn't excited, she wouldn't tell me, and she would let it build up until it irritates her. And then she would be like, I can't even work out.
Yeah. And then I was told I have another 3 weeks or so for this foot thing. So it's what it is.
So, and you're working, so you're standing on it.
Yeah.
Which is just awesome.
Yeah. So it's
That
just
helps a lot.
Along.
And the dog just pulled you over when he saw a rabbit in the backyard. So this is just great.
And I slipped on ice the other day. Yeah.
But here's the point. Here's what I want.
And the old me would have been like, this year's going to suck. Instead, I'm just rolling with it.
Yeah. And so that's exactly what I was going to say. Did we have coffee? I feel like we're like, blah, 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 blah.
I know, right?
So what I was going to say, because you brought up the point of saving and having like hefty goals, and I want to save like $2,000 a month, and people get like crazy, right? But here's what happens. So let's have something reasonable. Let's say you want to save $500 a month, right? If you don't, like a lot of times what I see people do is if they have $400, they will save $0.
Right.
Because they're like, well, I didn't have 500. And then they're like, fuck it.
Right.
But you don't realize that 400 will compound. And then maybe you get towards the end of the year and you're able to save 6 or 7, and you easily make up for that 100 that you were short somewhere else.
It is the small steps, they add up.
Yeah.
For anything, any goal you have.
So let's talk about what people should be doing. And I want to say 2 things real quick. One, we don't know, because every business is different. So we'll run through some examples and some thoughts and some different things, and maybe things we're looking at doing. And 2, what was my second point? Oh, where are we going with this podcast? That was thoughts we've been talking about recently. And it's just, I don't have that stuff in my notes. So I'm just drawing off the dome here.
I like it.
But the other thing that I was thinking is, I don't want our podcast to be here's what you should do.
Right.
I love nothing more than when we are talking to someone and they say, I never thought about it that way. That is what Hello Hair Pro is. It's not to tell you what to do. It's not to be like, this is the best way to charge.
No, because
this is the best way to raise your prices.
I believe
this is the best way to attract staff.
That's bad
This is how you
advice.
have to do social media. No.
Nobody fits into a square box.
Think about it, right? And all those places, all those, the gurus and stuff out there telling you like, this is what you have to do. You don't have to do anything.
No, and those have
We've
tos may not work
time and
for
time
you.
again.
Yeah. Agreed. I don't like have tos. Makes me not want to do it.
Right. Yeah.
I want to do the opposite.
Also, I just don't buy that what works for someone else is necessarily going to work for anyone else.
No, I think in that
let alone myself, but like,
yeah, I think they'd be better off to give advice as in, let me tell you what worked for me, things that they've gone through, struggles they've encountered. And someone would, I imagine, because they're coming in with a different mindset to listen to a conversation that's about, let me tell you my story, they're going to take out of that what relates to them. And then like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. Where if I just tell you, this is what you have to do, your if you look up to the person that's saying this is what you have to do, you're not going to think of any other avenue or any other possibility that might come into that equation. So it shuts that off right away. Where if we tell you a story or what we did or how like something that affected us, and then you could make that own twist, and now you're organically growing what will work for you. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's so important to just point out, like, because we had been talking a lot because it's the new year and that's what you do, about what do we want to do with this show? Mm-hmm. Where do we want this podcast to go? What do we want Hello Hair Pro to do? And we'd sat down and we talked about, like, do we film like these sort of stock videos? Do we do what literally everyone else does and have like modules for people to go through? And do we have whatever? And everyone out there's like, we don't have templates. You do, though. You really do. Like, we've worked with a bunch of different people. Obviously not everyone, but we've had mentors in this space. We've had lots of mentors in other spaces. They're all sort of similar. And so our approach, and I'm not saying that we're totally different, because I guarantee you other people are out there saying the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Is just going to be to get people to think differently.
Yeah, I think it's
like, think outside of,
take it and think and put that into play for yourself, whatever it relates to for where you are in life. I don't know.
You tell people all the time to get outside of your salon. I tell people get outside of your industry.
Yeah.
And that
so
is important.
Where I've been most inspired. Like at restaurants and stuff, a lot of times I'm like, oh my God, this would be so cool in the salon. Like,
right. Restaurants are great because you're in, I think when you go to a restaurant generally, you're there to receive. They're serving you.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Right.
So you're just open to receiving. So you notice the little things. You know, if you drop a napkin and somebody scoops it up real quick and get you a new napkin or whatever, you notice those little things. You also notice when there's a wait and they make you sit there. Right? So the good and the bad. But anyways, so what do people have to do? No, I'm just kidding. What should people think about in the new year? So you have a new calendar year. We always go back to, and I do think this is good to recommend to everyone, because I think, and take it or leave it, but I think every business in every industry ever will benefit from taking a good look at their foundation over and over. Mission, vision, core values.
Duh. It is what it is.
And then ask yourself, are you living those? Why or why not? And don't force it. So if it's not working, like if you, I hope people hear this and they're like, wow, I never thought that. But so if you are looking at your core values and you're like, yeah, these aren't resonant. I'm not doing these. Maybe those aren't your core values.
Time
and it's okay. Change those. It's okay to change those. Don't try to fit yourself into the box. Make the box fit you. If you don't,
refreshing.
Yeah. I had someone one time said something in the gym. It was to do with the CrossFit Open. And they were like, it's just hard to fit this into blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, you're trying to fit it into this box. Like, instead of thinking that, like, rebuild the box, like reframe what people are thinking about how this is supposed to look and come up with a solution.
And one that works better for what you're trying to do with your training program.
Correct. Yeah.
I
Also, real quick, I don't want to forget, like, so you ask yourself if you're living those core values, and then I want you to ask yourself if you're someone that's an owner or you run a team, is your team living those as well? Go ahead. Sorry. I
think what is going to be really big this year, and nobody wants me to say this word.
Hold on. Are we doing a prediction?
I'm going to go prediction. Yeah.
Live prediction.
I think I'm pretty spot on.
This show is not live, but I love to be like live.
So, 2 words that I can't stand, but I'm going to say it. Coming out of a pandemic and COVID, my prediction, here's where it's at. I really believe coming down to get back to building client relationships is where you're going to find really, really quick success in building a clientele. I say that because just the other day, my eyelash artist is on maternity leave. Very sad because she's great. And so I went to a local salon that here's why I picked them. I know they're clean. And I know they have a really professional atmosphere. So those are big deals to me. And they hit the mark. They are clean and they're very professional. But what the girl that did my lashes does not do is try to build a client relationship with me. I specifically said I'm there because I'm getting my lashes done while my girl's on maternity leave, but this is more local and it's more convenient. And actually, it was less expensive. She didn't try to talk to me about anything or get to know me. And let me tell you, I don't step out to a lot of places. Like, so when I want someone to sit down and chat for like a minute or two, not even much. So if you can really sit down and talk about hair, yes, or talk about whatever services you offer, whatever you do, but also like, hey, how are you doing today? Like, people don't get that all the time. And if you can do that, it's very different than what majority of people out there are doing in any business. And it will get people to feel that they're important, that they feel like you actually care. And that's why they'll come back. And everything else you do for whatever business you're in will be secondary.
I've seen so many times firsthand in this industry, and I have not been in this industry a whole long time. So this should count for people that know me that might be listening, because I wouldn't have said it. I see people that someone sits down in their chair and it's me.
Yeah.
They sound like they're warming up for a fucking orchestra song or whatever.
If you don't have client retention, it's because you're not connecting with that client.
I hear people, or I've heard in the past, that are like, well, my fiance did this and that. And I'm like, why are you talking about yourself?
Or even...
And they're like, my clients want to know what I'm up to. They don't.
So they may want some of that.
Yes. Now,
but
don't get me wrong.
Don't
they want
lead with that.
Correct. They want to know what you're up to, yes. But I'm talking about, this is like
all about
whole appointments.
It's same as if someone
it's like
sits
4
in
hours
your
of
chair and you're
listening
like,
to people.
Same as last time. It should be like, hey, Linda, how are you doing? What's going on? Like, if you remember little bits, like, how's the fam?
What are we doing? How's the blonde?
How are your holidays? And then kind of like, hey, how's your collar doing? Like, you make them feel like their life is more important than the hair. And it is. I know, but if you're not doing that, you're missing the mark. Like, I have had clients for 20 something years, and that's why. And I honestly love doing hair, but I just love talking to people. It's just where it's at. That's what's fun for me. And if you're not doing that, try it and see what you get back, because it will be amazing. And then too, if Linda doesn't ask you how you're doing, at some point she will or she won't. And I don't know, do you care? Like, you're not there to make friends. You're there to make them feel important so they keep coming back in. Like, so
yeah, it's all
you
about
have to change your mindset there, right?
Yeah, that's a book, by the way.
Grab your friend for a coffee if you need to be talking about yourself.
Yeah,
and I would challenge you to not say too much about your personal life, because it'll bite you in the ass at some point.
Well, I think a lot of this industry, and it's a shame, because like, we have a really small following, and I'm grateful for our following. And I'm not criticizing our following, and it's fun and I love it. But a lot of the bigger accounts or people with followings are like, it's the same shit over and over. Charge your worth. It's always about you. And I understand the personal stuff. It's charge your worth. They're coming to you for this because of you. Not really. Not always.
They're coming to you. What do you offer? What are you doing?
If you can make a connection, they're coming to you for. Correct. They're not coming to you because you're good at balayage. They don't even know what that means, and they shouldn't.
No, your first appointment with somebody, they're probably a salon hopper at that point, and that's because no one's connected with them. Because everyone does half decent hair, so they're used to getting the half decent hair, but no one can do the next step.
Yeah.
The other one right now, I know it's a side note, the pet peeve on Instagram lately is the normalize. Normalize this, normalize that.
Normalize shutting the fuck up.
God, stop it.
Normalize not using the same words and trying to make them mean different things.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
All right, so let's normalize personal goals. Let's start with personal goals.
They should be so normalized.
So let's make this about you, even though I just said it's not about you. Mm. And I don't mean it's not about you.
Yeah.
I think people that listen and people we engage with are intelligent enough to know what I mean. So I don't have to keep going back and prefacing things. If you don't like what I'm saying, tune out and don't listen to us ever again. I really don't care.
Or just fast forward through Todd and listen to me.
Wow. Shots fired. We need a gunshot button over here. I have the beep button, but I don't have that. Shots fired. All right. So let's start with personal goals. So what do you want to accomplish outside of work this year? I would think about that.
Yeah.
Because
think it's a big deal.
if you get yourself right outside of work and you're feeling good in your personal life, then you can bring that into work and you can feel good in your professional life.
Absolutely.
It's
it all
just-
carries over
Yeah.
on both sides. But yeah.
I know when I'm heading into the salon to cut hair, when I feel good, I go into the salon feeling great.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't, I don't, like if I'm having an off day or if things aren't great, it affects it.
Oh, yeah.
It affects you walking in. And can you flick a switch and, put on a happy face and be
Pretty
happy for people?
Decent, most people can, right? But
Yeah, but don't think for a second that you're so good at, like that you're in the CIA, like you're so good at tricking people. Like, no, people pick up on nuance. They understand, they get it. And just like we get it, if a client's having a bad day, you're like, hey, you having
right.
is everything okay? Yeah,
I decided to pick up, I'm going to try to read one book this year. So you keep your goals small. And this is a funny story.
One book this year?
I haven't read a book in I don't know how long. So if I can get through one book,
okay.
I took out 2 books from the library, but if I can get through one.
That's where we're opposites because I rip through books.
I know. But funny, this is how much I don't read, is our daughter, when I was reading the other day in our kitchen, was like, Mom, you read?
Mom, you know how to read?
I'm like, I mean, I can read. I don't always take the time to do it. And I'm like, wow, I really need to do this because we're very focused on books with the kids. So I'm like, generally it starts with the parents.
Our kids are great
but
readers.
Clearly, like they just read because they love it. Yes. But it sort of inspired me to make sure that I get through this book because I want my kids to see me reading.
So not to get too far down the rabbit hole, but I do think that this day and age, like you don't have to necessarily sit down and read a book to consume information, because there are like blogs, podcasts, there are different ways to get information and stories in whatever, fiction, nonfiction, whatever. So you don't necessarily have to sit down with like a hard cover book and read it.
That was just something.
Audiobooks are great. That's how I consume books. Yeah. All right. So back to personal goals. Maybe ask yourself this: what does your time outside of work look like?
Mm-hmm.
Right? For you. And then I have a thought experiment that I've done with people before, which is, what does a perfect day look like outside of work? So you can do a work perfect day. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
We do it with our staff. We've done it in the past. We need to redo. Well, it's a new year, so we need to redo all this stuff. But sit down and ask yourself, what does your perfect day look like? Not work related. So whether it's an off day or whether you are imagining in your head that you don't have to work ever again, whatever. What does that perfect day look like? And then ask yourself, I guess, like, what are the steps to get me closer to that? What's up? Did you think you heard something? Or, okay. That's all I had for personal goals. Now I can move into business goals unless you have something else.
No, I think how you said it was perfect. I could just reiterate it,
cool.
but what's the point? I'm going to personal goal this and say, nice job. That was great.
Perfect. All right. So there's your personal goals. Business goals. This is where your company vision comes into play, right?
Yes.
You didn't take the time to create a vision for it to just sit there. I hear someone in the background too.
They're watching the Paw Patrol movie. It's the boys downstairs.
Are we hearing like an echo?
Yeah, I think so.
Because we have headphones on.
I know.
Oh, the mics, but are they coming up or are they just laughing?
I think they're just laughing.
Okay. Anyways, you didn't take the time and spend your time to create your vision to just sit there. You've created these things as a guide.
Mm-hmm.
So use them and revisit them to guide you.
Well said.
Now, there are some different things here, and we're still trying to keep these short, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're trying to keep this one short, and then maybe next week we'll get back to like diving a little deeper into stuff. But
perfect.
Financial goals. What's your business financial goals? I don't know, but I want you to think about it.
And if you don't have any, you need to find an accountant and set those up.
Yeah.
Because it's a big deal. And this is one that I say beginning of the year, great time to do that. Like last year for us, it was switching payroll companies because the one we were using, we weren't able to utilize in the way we needed to as a business and the way our account needed to. So January 1st, a great time for us to switch that payroll company right out and work with one that just better fit our needs. It's a great time.
Great, right?
It's been awesome. But a great time right now. If you have never set up financial goals, this is the time to truly do that.
Yeah. So I almost just said, sorry if you hear a background, but I'm really not sorry. That's our kids and this is our life. So
Yeah.
if you want to listen.
And they're crazy right now.
If you want to not listen to kids, don't listen to this episode, I guess. But they could be also silent for the next 10 minutes while we finish this. But anyways, what about staffing? Maybe that's something. Maybe you're like, I want to expand. Maybe you need to consider staffing. I don't know. And we're back. So had to deal with some children. I don't even know if people will notice the cut, but we'll cut. Anyways, we were talking about staffing.
Oh, yeah.
As one of the things that you might want to address if you're looking at expanding, I guess. I'm sure there's tons of scenarios, but the next, go ahead. What were you
I was
going to say?
going to say, I would even, and I think this is from just personal experience, so I want to speak to it.
Well, that's all we have to draw from.
True. I would even look at staffing as, do you like your current staff? Do you enjoy them? Are they working out for the way you expected? And here's the thing. If your answer is no, actually, I don't, and nothing's working out the way I thought, now it's time to put a system in place and have some hard conversations, because just because maybe your staff's not working out for you doesn't mean you can't change them, grow them, and that they're willing to work with you. So don't get discouraged. You can get that staff to be exactly where you want to be, whether they're even if they're independent or commissioned, because even if you're the owner of an independent salon, you still have people working or paying you, but they're working under your brand. So there's still something there that you need to be kind of leading them to be what you want under your brand. And like I said, if that's not happening, it doesn't mean that you can't change it. And now's, again, a great time to kind of implement some things, some changes to get the people that are working underneath the roof of your brand to be representing that brand in the way you want.
Yeah, I agree. And I think so something I've encountered in the past as well, as far as staffing, is when people are like, I'm just going to fire this person. And I'm like, why? And then they're like, well, they don't do X, Y, and Z. And I'll say, do they know they're supposed to?
Mm-hmm.
And then the people are like, well, what do you mean? That's the job. And I'm like, no.
Or they say they should. Right.
Have you very specifically laid it out in a black and white, easy to read format, and then handed them that employee handbook? Like, have you told them what you expect from them?
People want to change more than I think they have are given credit for.
Right. Or are you just like, they should just know that?
Right.
No one just knows that. You didn't just know that. You didn't just know anything. You were taught since you were a baby. We've all been taught things. That's how you learn.
Right.
So anyways, staffing, maybe that's something you look at. Systems, which you just touched on. Maybe your business is in a point where you're like, I'd like to step back a little. If you can't step back, you need some systems to help you. Maybe you're like, I want a fully autonomous business, which means you don't have to be there. So it's a passive income situation. And I've seen a lot of people that are like, that can't be done in the hair world. Every industry thinks it can't be done, but people do it every single day. People own salons they're not at. How do you think that companies own like 30 locations?
Right.
You think the owner is at all 30 locations every day or every week or even every month? No. So that's dumb.
Right.
What about educational? What goals do you have for education this year? And I'm not talking about online classes or what you're going to do, but maybe it's your staff, or maybe it's, I don't know. I don't know what
but you have to
sort of scenarios might come up. But education in our industry is huge. That's sort of a cliche thing to say. But it is.
I mean, we just booked or were invited to a class, and starting off in January, invited the staff if they want to go. To a haircutting, kind of demo type thing, and come if you have time, and you don't have to, but it kind of kicks off our new year because education is important to us, and it just showcases to the staff in the first month of the first year of 2023 that there's a class happening and you're invited to go if you choose to.
That was funny too, because someone had texted me that I've never met before, and they're like, hey, Todd, I have this artist coming. they want to come to your salon. It's going to be great. You can do this. It's free, no cost to you. And then when I said, I got to talk to Jen because we are not caught up on our whiteboard calendar. We don't have any calendar synced. I don't think you filled out your new planner. Like, we're just a little behind, but we've been doing stuff with kids. We went to Disney on Ice today. It was awesome.
Super cool.
But anyways, we've got to catch up. But when we got together and you were like, we were actually invited to that class at another salon, I was like, we should just go to that. Yeah. Why would we water it down?
And we really wanted to support again,
let's go support some local salons.
Another salon. Yeah. It was a big deal to get out of ours and go support
someone else.
Another salon in the community. Yeah. That was the opportunity we were looking for some education. So it was just perfect.
Right. And maybe that leads to more of us trying to tag along. Mm-hmm. You don't always have to be the salon that leads everything.
No. This will be a fun support one for sure.
What about marketing? Business goals. Maybe you're like, I want to get my business out there more, or I want to be known for X, or I want to specialize in X. That's going to take some marketing.
Yep.
What are you doing about that? Are you calling our friends at Ping Pong?
Because you should.
Are you looking at your social media? Mm-hmm. Are you doing some traditional marketing? Are you blogging? Are you creating avatars to market towards your specific client? Like, right. What are you doing?
Important stuff.
Culture. You sort of touched on it. Culture. A lot of people talk about culture in this industry, and actually in a lot of industries. I don't know why everyone always thinks their industry is like untouchable when it comes to stuff, but
they generally are just in their bubble.
No, I understand, but it's like someone, and you've said it before to me, but this is just like a funny side note, but people have said like, what other professions put their hands on people? And I was like, doctors, nurse,
there's a ton,
massage therapist, police officer, personal trainer. Like we could name 50 off the top of our head. You're not that special.
Again, goes back to creating the relationships.
Yes. So culture though, you mentioned earlier, like staffing. Mm-hmm. If your staff isn't where you want it, it's not aligned, that's your fault as the leader.
Yes.
What can you do? How do you shift a culture? I would recommend little small nudges, because you're not just going to rip the rug from under people unless you want people to quit. And then you can very specifically, I can teach you how to do it. I'm good at it. Mm-hmm. You can shift a culture so hard that it gets people out of the way that you feel like are in the way. Mm-hmm. You can do it that way.
Yep.
I wouldn't recommend it. It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it, but it's not for the faint of heart, and it could cause potential issues with your business partner. But it is a thing. You can do it.
Yes.
What about, and this one might ruffle some feathers. Are we trying to keep this quick? We're going on. All right, let's start moving.
Yeah.
What about the sale of a business?
Yeah.
What if your end goal is to sell your business?
Got to set that up right so you can actually sell it, and that doesn't mean just selling some furniture off, because your furniture is worth shit. Your furniture is
not worth anything. So, yeah, if your end goal is to sell your business, don't let anyone tell you that that's not a good goal. I understand people do it for the love of the hair, but people cook for the love of the food, right? But they sell restaurants all the time.
Right.
People sell gyms all the time. Mm-hmm. People sell all sorts of stuff all the time. Sometimes it's better suited in someone else's hands.
Right.
It's time for that business to be handed off to somebody else, and that's okay. Or maybe it's just time for you broke your foot. I'm just being funny. There's no foreshadowing there. If any of our team is listening, we're not going anywhere.
And you all feel bad for my foot.
At least for 18 months. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, like the sale of a business, if that's your goal, like think about it. Let's start planning that. Not let's like as us, but
you need to start planning it though.
Right.
Or you're not going to be selling anything.
The sort of closing thing I want to talk about is evaluating your team in the new year. So let's do like a little complacency check.
Yeah.
If you have a team, if you run a team, now's a great time to check in with them.
Yes.
Turn of the new year.
Absolutely.
Right? And talk to them. What sort of goals do they have? Do you even know their goals? How can you help them? How can you help them achieve their goals? How can you get them there? What sort of opportunities can you create? How can you guys work together to create opportunities?
Right.
Maybe you've got a great staff, or maybe you have someone that's a standout and your goal is to sell your business. Maybe that's somebody that you take under your wing and you're like, hey, I want to sell my business in 3 to 5 years.
Right.
How do you feel about taking it over? And maybe that person's like, wow, yeah, I mean, okay, great. 3 to 5 years is a good time for us to scratch the surface on what you need to know. Let's get you up and running, and then sit down and create a plan to help them learn business and take over. Right.
I think the big thing with that is even
and that's just an example I was talking about, because I never hear people talking about the sale of salons and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think
it's important.
What you first said was, what are their goals? Because it's easy as an owner or someone who's leading a team to think someone's goals, to think that
big major mistake right there.
Right. That you might be like, oh, they're happy with where they're at, but they may not. And I'm talking if you're leading a team in a commission salon versus even an independent salon, because like I said, either way, you have people that are repping your brand. So rather than guess and think that's a great question to ask, and stop talking and let them answer it, because you might be blown away with what they want to do, and under your umbrella might be able to help do things at your salon, or you might be able to help them do some stuff on the side, but you might be able to help that person really grow in a way that can keep them on your team if you want them there, and kind of let them grow on other avenues. But if you don't ask and truly listen to what they're saying, you might be holding them back, or you might be shutting a door that you didn't even realize needed to be opened.
I think we should end there.
Great.
We've carried on long enough.
Okay.
Who the hell are we? Who do we think we are? Anyways, let's do our sponsor. So this episode is brought to you by Ping Pong Design and Marketing.
Pong.
If you want to love your website again, or you're looking for more clients to fill your business, reach out to Ping Pong. Why am I talking like this? I don't know. It's the end of the day. Ping Pong's offering our audience a special discount. So visit the show notes and reach out to Chris. Great guy, and he will help you get sorted as far as your marketing. Anything else?
Nope.
Let's get out of here.
Have a great day.
Or night. What if they're listening at night?
Have a great whatever time it is where you are.
Yeah, man. All right. Bye.
Bye. Lenny, how you doing?